Today, we are going to be telling the story of the gay man who convinced the Amish to vote for Trump and likely won him this election cycle. You're like, oh no, he couldn't have possibly won the election for Trump. Trump won Pennsylvania by 200,000 votes.
Okay.
180,000 Amish first-time voters were registered by him.
Whoa. Okay. Wow.
So a mainstream Republican staffer for Trump, Jan Halper Hayes, said, Trump wins Pennsylvania. We owe it all to this man. Pennsylvania by 200,000 votes. This guy registered 180,000 first-time Amish voters, and he didn't just register them, he also registered other people.
Damn. Wow.
So let's go to the story of Scott Pressler. What I think this also shows, gays are not just now embraced by the Republican Party. It's not just that Trump was the first presidential candidate in U.S. history that supported gay marriage when he was elected. Obama did not, by the way. It's that this is a two-way love story between real gays, not fake gays, not this fake BS fucking bullshit where it's like, oh, I can identify as whatever I feel like. Real gays and Trump. People who didn't have a choice of who they were attracted to. And again, I'm not saying I don't think it's anti-biblical. I'm just thinking it's not particularly more anti-biblical than something like, prostitution or masturbating to women other than your wife or any number of things that are fairly normal in our world today. But let's talk about this guy. So the story of Scott Pressler. Scott Pressler has been a conservative political activist since 2016 when he served as a regional field director for the Republican Party of Virginia. He is openly gay and co-founded the LGBT coalition Gays for Trump the same year. He also became a volunteer for Act for America, an anti-Muslim advocacy group, the following year. He organized March Against Sharia events. Additionally, he has been organizing cleanup events of Baltimore and Los Angeles, where scores of volunteers remove trash from the streets. And we'll get into this more in a second.
Wow.
The Vigilant Fox said, "You were the most impactful non-billionaire this election cycle. Well done, Scott. You helped us save America."
Today was inspired by the tweets we saw on social media from our president, and we were just tired of people doing so much talking, but not enough actually rolling up your sleeves, putting on your boots, and getting dirty. That's why we're out here today. And the coolest thing is, Mr. Kang on the corner, he owns a shop over here. He came over to help. We have Mr. Williams, who owns a funeral home. He came over. He said, the next time you go out here in the community, you let us know.
And if you're looking at what the RNC co-chair said about this individual, he said, quote, Scott Pressler has single-handedly registered more voters for the Republican Party than any other human being alive today.
Oh my gosh. This guy's prolific and a closer.
Oh, he's great. He's so great. No, if you watch videos of him, he just so clearly cares.
Why don't people put American citizens first, but illegal immigrants get everything? And I hope you post this. I want this to go viral because I give a damn and I care about my community. My dad is a retired Navy captain. He served our country honorably. My grandfather is a retired Navy captain, and I'm doing my part to help our country because I give a damn and I'm gonna fight for it. And I am 100% voting for Donald Trump on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. The Democrat Party does not put our people first. They put sanctuary cities first. They put illegal aliens first. They tax us. They tax our water. You can't even do laundry and shower on the same day. While Nancy Pelosi is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, robbing our pockets, not doing anything for our people, not passing legislation, passing out pens like they're candy. Meanwhile, President Trump is signing United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, and he's signing trade deals, and he's cutting our taxes, and he's securing the border, and he's putting our veterans first. I am proud of President Trump, and I am voting for him because he's putting the American people first, period.
He wants none of he did this without pay at the beginning. What he did for a living was walking dogs. He was just out there trying to fix things. That was it. That was all he cared about, was trying to fix things. So he entered into politics in 2019 when President Trump said of Baltimore, it's a disgusting and rodent-infested mess. And what liberals did when they heard that is they said, How dare he call Baltimore a disgusting rodent-infested mess?
Meanwhile, everyone in Baltimore, I
Meanwhile,
mean,
everyone in Baltimore was like, and what Scott Pressler said, if not me, then who? So within 6 days of Trump's tweet, Pressler organized over 170 volunteers to clean up West Baltimore. They first rounded up 12 tons of trash being
oh,
removed within 12 hours. And he has done this in other cities. Specifically, he did similar efforts in Atlanta, Austin, Chicago, Denver, Detroit, Houston, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Portland. So again,
and
these
is
aren't
this
even
all
cities
like,
that are-
is this while campaigning or is this just
no.
volunteering
Just
to clean
after
up
Trump
cities?
did that year, his first thing wasn't even to get into politics.
What?
It was just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna fix this. If these cities are like filled with trash, if they're disgusting, well, then we need to make them not disgusting.
This guy's actually working to make America great again.
Yeah, is that not
He's
like
the
this is
full
the thing?
thing? He's the real
I
deal.
actually, if he runs, and I fucking hope he runs, if he runs in the next presidential election cycle, I think he would clean up. If you watch any video on him, he is the most wholesome, dedicated motherfucker I have ever seen in my life.
Wow.
He said he'd come back, and today he did.
Last time.
He is 100%. When Democrats were like, no, these cities aren't disgusting, he's like, oh yeah, America's major cities have fallen into being wrecks.
Mhm.
Let's 12 tons of trash.
Oh my gosh.
Like, actually contextualize that. So
Yeah.
then, you know what he did in 2021? He moves to Pennsylvania, buys property here so he can vote here.
No.
And he did it in an attempt to try to get people to vote. And one of the core communities he targeted were the Amish, because Amish historically don't vote. So he did door-to-door canvassing using public records to identify likely Amish households. He set up a stall at the Green Dragon Market, an Amish fair in Lancaster County, to interact with the community regularly.
Oh.
He offered rides to polling stations and assistance with absentee ballot registration. And I also will note here that a lot of people don't know this, but actually Kennedy was really close with the Amish community. He had been campaigning in the community here for ages, apparently.
Wow.
And when the Democrats stabbed Kennedy in the back, not letting him really run as a real third-party candidate in any of the important states, Kennedy then went with Trump. Right now, by the way, he is involved with Trump's transition team. He's one of the people we're going to be reaching out to in terms of trying to get transition spots. And Kennedy, you know, when he moved to the Trump team, a lot of the Amish people, in addition with Scott Pressler's work, by the way, gay man, people think that like so many Republicans are like, oh, you're gay, I hate you. Even the Amish, who are like, you could not be possibly more heterosexually normative than the Amish. They're like, yeah, but if you're telling us like reasonable things, let's listen and talk through this, right? I've been thinking more about Kamala Harris's loss recently, and I think it's going to be uniquely hard for Democrats to win these individuals back because it's no longer become a fight over policy. When I look at the like our politics subreddit right now or on Twitter right now, and the lefties that are freaking out, they're all like, oh, you know, if you're black, Republicans are going to enslave you. If you're gay, Republicans are going to kill you. If you're woman, Republicans are going to forcibly impregnate you. And these things just like factually aren't true. And the key thing that I think moves people from the left to the right is breaking out of this illusion. Just like looking at reality and being like, oh, a gay person was one of the key players in getting Trump elected. A polyamorous guy was one of Trump's key funders, Elon. His VP was found for him by another gay man, Peter Thiel. Like, this obviously isn't a party that is either antagonistic to or on bad terms with the gay community. And how do you win one of these people back when they found out that you lied to them about somebody, convince them to unjustly attack and dehumanize this other group, and then they learn that everything that you told them about this other group was a lie? Like, they go to a Trump rally as an out openly gay person and they realize everyone is nicer to them than at a Kamala rally, or as a black person, or you just can't win them back once the veil is revealed.
So, now that the orange turd has won, we should now rename America Hell, because it is going to be hell on Earth once they strip everyone's rights away that is no straight, white, cis man. So, buckle up. Hope you freaking Republicans are happy. I'm out of here.
Because you have turned this from a policy battle into a what is true about reality battle. Will Republicans go and try to take away their rights? Will Republicans try to enslave them or kill them? And when the answer is not just no, but so emphatically no, it's almost comical, and that Republicans are actually maybe their only real allies left, who will protect them, you know, like lesbians, for example, from cis men pretending to be trans and getting on dating apps and aggressively harassing them, or beating them up at bars, or associating the gay movement with the ridiculousness of things like trans women in sports, which obviously makes the gay movement look bad. And so the Democrats are like, oh, this is an LGBT issue. And the Republicans are saying rightly, no, it's not. It's a weird sex pest issue, and it should not negatively reflect on the gay community. And let's call them the normal gays, because there are normal gays. And normal gays, and I know a lot of normal gays, I know a lot of weird gays. The normal gays are like overwhelmingly Republican, I'd also point out. They'd almost sort of be these, for me, the modern stereotype of the wholesome dad Republican meme, which I think might surprise people who don't have that many friends in the gay community. So how do Dems win, given that this is the case? Well, it's not about running a non-woke candidate, even though wokeism is the problem, because Kamala was a non-woke candidate and Biden was a non-woke candidate. They need to run an anti-woke candidate, a candidate who calls out woke bullshit on the regular and demeans it. And I'd say, how do we as Republicans keep up this win? Well, you need to call out the individuals who would besmirch our new and growing set of allies, like the normal gay males. And so when an individual is out there in a Republican circle calling out them for, I don't know whether it's sinful for the Bible's perspective, be like, are they actually living a sinless life? No. Are they doing more to help the Republican Party than people like Scott Pressler? No. Well, then they can fuck right off. You get to make these sorts of accusations when you live that way. When you aren't living that way, this is for you and yourself to deal with. And because of this, Republicans are going to keep winning, because I know that Republicans can do this. They can actually police the extremists within their own community, and they have been. Whereas Democrats can't do this. You will not have a mod on Our Politics banning someone for some ridiculous, oh, I don't feel safe because I'm gay and Republicans ran post. But you will get people on conservative message boards banning people for aggressively homophobic rhetoric. And that's why Republicans are going to win, because we deal with our own extremism while the left is too cowardly to do it. And you also see this from Trump in his support of the gay community. And I actually think you can see the success of this just by looking online at YouTube videos and stuff like that. You look at someone like Leather Apron Club's channel, and he did a video saying, don't vote for Trump, don't vote for the Republicans. This party no longer stands for us. I feel ostracized when I say anti-Semitic things. I feel ostracized when I say anti-gay things. I don't like the word homophobic. It's stupid, but anti-gay things, basically. He's like, when I say that, you know, being gay isn't right, I feel ostracized in this community. And the community, and he acted as if this is going to, you know, keep Trump from winning. This is going to keep Republicans from winning. When the truth is we don't want people like that in our community anymore.
I'm leaving.
Okay, then. That was always allowed.
This is America. We don't outlaw something just because it's a sin. We don't want to live under your version of Sharia law. We are winning because we have ostracized people like that. And if Democrats are going to win, ever again, is they need to ostracize their own people who are equally exclusionary. When somebody goes online or at an event and says something like, I promoted someone because they're black, I promoted someone because they're a woman, they shouldn't feel comfortable. They shouldn't feel safe at that event. If somebody goes around as a non-passing individual and is using women's restrooms and otherwise intimidating women just so that they can feel validated, they should be treated like somebody walking around with a swastika tattooed on their forehead.
You need to treat this stuff for what it is. When somebody who obviously has the body of a man and is competing in women's sports, they need to be treated like somebody with a swastika tattooed on their head, because they are a symbol of oppression, hatred, and bigotry. They are utilizing a systemically unfair system that allows them to compete against individuals they obviously shouldn't be competing against, to beat up on people who are weaker than themselves. When somebody goes around and says something like, black people can't be racist, they need to be treated like somebody who just said the N-word would be at a Trump rally. Which is very harshly. But the woke are just not willing to do that yet. And until they get to that point, they're going to keep losing. Obviously not this next primary, and the primary after an election cycle, it always reverts. I'm talking long term. And just to understand what you guys are going to be fighting long term, next election cycle, it's J.D. Vance. You're going to need to bring real big guns to beat him. This guy is cogent, young, intelligent, and appeals to half your audience.
And I also think what was really interesting is the way he got the Amish on board. So he emphasized a recent incident where state authorities raided on Amish farmers' dairy for selling raw milk without a permit, framing it as a government overreach, which it was, by the way. And Susie Weiss, friend of the show, one of my favorite human beings alive, has written on this extensively. He stressed Trump's stance on religious liberty, which aligns with Amish values, and he emphasized protection of agricultural practices, traditional lifestyles, and educational choice. All of which are things that we care about and Amish care about. The urban monoculture, because they have no kids, could only survive by taking children from demographically healthy cultural groups, and they have begun to overreach into the Amish community. And the Amish are like, do not touch my children. And what was said to the Amish, and I actually believe this really strongly, and I love that the Amish got this message, which is, if you're not voting, then nobody's going to care about you politically speaking. They're not going to care about overreaching. They're not going to care about shutting down your farms. And it got to them. Now let's talk about his background. Okay, so we're going to get Scott Pressler was born in 1988 in Jacksonville, Florida. He grew up in a military family, as his father was a United Navy captain. He later earned degrees in criminal justice from George Mason University. His political career began in earnest in the 2016 election cycle. Prior to this, he did a stint as a Republican Party organizer of Virginia. His political activism took a significant turn. Pressler became a volunteer and later an employee for ACT for America, an anti-Muslim advocacy group. Pressler gained prominence as the coordinator of March Against Sharia. He came out in June 2016. So right as he began organizing as a Republican, he also came out, and that was what motivated him to organize the Republican. And what motivated him to do this was actually the nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida, where a Muslim shot up a gay nightclub, where he's like, the Republicans are the only people who are really willing to protect us. He also, and I'll put a graph on screen here, but what I'll say is Stop the Steal, which he also helped, made him a horrible person. Stop the Steal is evil. The Republicans clearly were not, like the Democrats had nothing to do with any of this. Pressler has focused on voter registration drives, particularly in swing states like Pennsylvania. And he now has 1.5 million followers on Twitter. And he has been called things like a crazy conspiracy theorist, and which of course all Republicans have. I mean, we have. And yeah, that's the story of this guy. So what are your thoughts, Simone?
He sounds like an incredible person. And yeah, I think anyone also, it's very easy for people who only read mainstream media to think that people who are on the ground seeing real things happen are conspiracy theorists, but those are the people who are actually, I trust what he sees on the road so much more than I would trust what someone is reading in the media. And the things that you see out door knocking, the things that you see out talking with people really can change like a lot. It is pretty crazy what's actually going on the ground. So even that,
Yeah, I mean, I think
wow, like the whole trash collection thing, just everything he's done just is so cool.
Yeah, and that he never seemed to have any. He's born to a military family. He never seems to have done anything for personal pride. It was always just like, here's a problem. Can somebody fix it?
Yeah, all American goodness. This is that can-do attitude that makes our country so awesome. And wow, I love what he represents.
I mean, we had a reporter with us recently, and when I was 13, I started a biology camp for underprivileged kids, right? So I set it up in like a poor neighborhood and we did a biology camp because I knew that like rich kids did that. And she's like, "Why did you do that?" And I go, "Well, I liked biology." And she's like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, I answered that. I thought it was fun to study this subject and I wanted to share what I liked with other people. And so many people, they like something or they care about something and they're like, "Oh, but actually like starting something, come on, I'm not going to do that." And I think that you're right. That is what makes America great. When you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, Baltimore is a fucking dumpster right now. Maybe I should try to clean it up
Yeah.
because no one else is going to do it."
Well, America was formed by people who didn't like what they had, so they came here and they built something better. And that happened in over a series of decades and now centuries. And I think it's produced a really great country. And the only way that we are going to stave off complete and terrible civilizational collapse is if we manage to maintain that spirit and don't lean into the indolence that we're starting to grow.
Well, and I think here also another thing is, the Republican movement is right now, I think, the only real friend the gay and the lesbian movements have. And when I say the gay and the lesbian movements, I mean the real gay and lesbian people, the lesbian people who are like, I like the female form. And so if you have like a penis and are like 6'2" and are on a lesbian dating app and look nothing like a woman, like that's a problem for me. Or one of the things that always got to me was the woman who was beaten at a gay bar for suggesting not to a trans individual, but to another lesbian woman that she wasn't interested in dating trans women. And so two trans women beat her. And on like Reddit, people were cheering this. In the lesbian forum, people were cheering this. And I think what it shows is that, well, Reddit's an overwhelmingly male site. And what we were actually seeing here was trans women, who considered themselves lesbians, like some of the people in these posts who want to arm themselves and attack people. That's who makes up the majority of these sorts of communities now and has excluded real women who prefer female bodies. And with gay men, like, why would you want to associate yourself with this obviously predatory group? And when you talk about obvious predators, I was talking about recently PDA files being part of what is causing a lot of young people to become trans. And the reporter I was talking to was like, "Oh, that can't possibly be the case." And I'm like, she's like, "That sounds like a conspiracy." And I was like, "Okay, do you agree that some gay men are PDA files just in the same way some straight men are? I mean, look at the Catholic Church, right? Like, this is clearly a phenomenon." And she's like, "Yes, I agree. Some gay men are PDA files." And I was like, well, with that being the case, do you not agree that if you can convince somebody to start taking puberty blockers at the age of 15, that when they reach legally the age of consent, that they are going to look a certain way? And she had this moment of realization where she's like, "Oh shit." I was like, "Yeah." And gay men are wholesome and and this is what somebody's like with Republican support non-gay men. And keep in mind that Scott Pressler, he came out at the same time he joined the Republican movement. It's not like he was a Republican and then he came out. He did these two things at the same time and received so much support that he was like, "Yes, I want to continue to support these individuals." And I think that this just goes so against progressive narratives, which just gaslight people into believing that the Republican movement is anti-gay or anti-lesbian, when in truth, it's the only real friend they have left. But do you have further thoughts, Simone? Or
No, I really agree with you. And I think it's telling how much violence actually is coming from the progressive movement, both in threats and in action. I'm not saying that conservatives don't also commit violent acts, but the assumption is that progressives never do. And I think they are doing so at an equal, if not higher level.
yeah, well, and I think that the other thing I take away from this is just a level of like, just if you care about something in the world, go and do it. And that's what earns our respect. It's not, people are always calling us elitists, right? And then they're surprised when they meet our friends and they have like face tattoos and like just got out of prison and they're like, "What?" Like, but I thought you were like elitist. And I'm like, well, I'm elitist in that I believe that some people's lives matter and other people's lives don't. But whether your life ends up mattering or not is based on your own goals for the future, your willingness to work for those goals. It's not based on, how much money you have or how many people are paying attention to you. And I think the person who is like Scott Pressler mattered more than any billionaire in this election cycle is one probably right. Because he didn't just focus on the Amish. He also focused a lot on hunters. He also focused a lot on like various other categories that he knew would likely vote
So
Republican.
basically just low propensity people in Pennsylvania, the key swing state.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. You'll see lots of things of him preaching on the street when he's doing street cleanups. When I say preaching, I mean preaching the Republican message, where he's like, Democrats just don't care anymore. Like they're putting us in jail when Nancy Pelosi is like earning hundreds of thousands a year. Like
Mhm.
it is a party that is holistically in support of the oligarchs now.
Yeah, well, and again, it's understated just how much any person can do. And I think a lot of people look at, we point to Elon Musk as an example of someone who sees a problem and fixes it. And it's very easy for someone to say, well, yeah, if I were a billionaire, I would just fix problems too. But here is a guy who is not a billionaire who made a very, very, very significant difference in the trajectory of, and keep in mind, like Elon Musk had a lot of efforts in Pennsylvania, so did this guy. And he made a huge difference without giving away, millions of dollars, without making big efforts like that, without giving big rallies that could draw out, tons of people. And I really think that if you don't make the change that you want to see in the world, it's on you. Like you don't get to have nice things if you don't fight for those nice things. And this, I think, ties in a lot with the American dream. How there's this complete misunderstanding where people now are like, the American dream is dead. It's no more possible, because they somehow think the American dream is, oh, I'm entitled to a house and a car and all these other luxuries in life without basically working for them. Whereas the American dream has always been about merely having the option to do that if you're lucky.
Yeah.
It was never guaranteed if you work hard. It was never even guaranteed if you don't work. It was just like, this is a place where it's possible. And people were coming from many places where it simply wasn't. And there are still many places in the world where the American dream is impossible. The American dream remains alive and well. And people like this guy represent that, which is cool.
Well, and I you know what? We should take this moment to be like, this guy is not unique. There are other individuals like him that are out there flipping districts to actually make America a better place. So can we stand Joe Rittenhouse for a while, because he flipped Montco for Trump?
Yeah, well, so Joe Rittenhouse he was the local Trump operative in our county, in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, a key swing district in a key swing state. And yeah, no one in the news is talking about him, but he is a local dude, a parent, a husband, and someone beloved in our community who just went out there and relentlessly
really hard, used data-driven methods. The local Republican, like the GOP, the RNC, did nothing to help him. Nothing to help him. Completely abandoned his part of the campaign. And when he's talking to us, he's like, look, I need to build all of this from scratch, because everything that's here right now is corrupt and it's in service of this dead ROC that doesn't actually care about getting Trump elected. And I need to build this up from scratch. And he did.
He did.
And he moved the needle so much. So you could say, okay, like this guy, Scott got Trump elected, but Joe Rittenhouse did as well.
Yeah.
If Joe Rittenhouse wasn't here, if Montco hadn't moved for Trump, which it did, by the way, maybe if you weren't here, I mean, you were constantly working in this election cycle. People are like, oh, Simone, you didn't win. And it's like, yeah, but she did better than last time.
Well, and all of my get out the vote efforts were just Republican get out the vote efforts. I didn't use my name. I didn't promote myself. And I mean, broadly, I just wanted to test out the efficacy that I had on Republican voter turnout, and especially low propensity voter Republican turnout. But yeah, I mean, there are also, again, like there are so many people who go unnamed. Another person that I really respect in this election cycle who worked in our area is Fletcher Carper, who has been kind of like Scott someone who for many, many elections has just been out there on the ground. I mean, when I had my first longer conversation with him, he talked about how, he's been driving at night in snowstorms while door knocking and then wrecked his car, because it's just so dangerous. But he was out there door knocking anyway. He would do anything it takes to just try to get out the vote. He was insanely efficient. He helped me with petition collection before he started doing general door knocking for the Republican voter turnout in Pennsylvania. And I could not believe how many signatures he got in a short period of time. Somehow he just managed to close people. And I mean, as a male knocking on people's doors, it's not
hard. People
easy.
yell at you. People hate you.
Yeah. So so people like Joe Rittenhouse, people like Fletcher Carper, people like Scott. I'm so glad they exist. We're so lucky that they exist. And I hope that, for example, Joe Rittenhouse gets a place in Trump's administration. They would be so dumb to pass up an opportunity.
And now we need to have the people
seriously.
like scene from Starship Troopers, where it's like people like X, but it's so true. I think that going forwards, what's going to determine if we save this country, it's the people who are staffing Trump's administration.
Now that the win is complete, the key element is follow through and the initial momentum.
Do not trust the deep state. They don't care about you. They don't like you. They don't want you to succeed.
Yeah.
When I say deep state, that means deep state Republicans. Well, if they work for a think tank, do not trust them unless you verify.
No, there are a lot of really great people who work for think tanks. And I mean, think tanks exist because there is so much deep state now. I mean, there's only so much deep state that you can eliminate. So you have to figure out, even if you're going through the process of dismantling it, you have to have people who know how to dismantle it. And people within think tanks are the only ones who know that. So there are people in think tanks that we know.
Not even think tanks, like Heritage Foundation. I'd love to connect Heritage Foundation with the Department of Efficiency. And I know that the Heritage Foundation did some naughty things with Project 2025. I don't agree with everything they said there, but their lawyers
Project 2025 was also pretty misrepresented in many ways.
Yeah, but they are the only people with the lawyer team that's needed to protect competent individuals firing people. It is very hard to fire people within the national government. And Project 2025 has what we need to handle those firings.
Yeah, I think going forward, it's about getting the right mix of DC insiders who know how to dismantle the machine, and then get it done operators who are really good at getting things executed. And if you combine those two groups with sort of the dismantling experts and then the redesign experts, you could see immensely positive change just in terms of eliminating entirely redundant and unnecessary bureaucratic bloat that is eating up tax dollars. This is a nonpartisan issue. This is just about getting things to run well and more efficiently.
No, I completely agree with you. And I really hope, actually, okay, here's what I'd love. And we might do another episode on this, is if you personally know an individual where you have some information on them that has done a lot to make this country a better place and isn't getting a proper shout out, I want to do those shout outs. I want people like Rittenhouse and Fletcher to have the air that they need, because it's not, look, Scott caught the tailwinds, right? And he did a lot, and I appreciate that. But I don't think he's the only person like him out there right now.
I think he'd be the first person to say that. The media has caught on his story because it's a great story, and he did make a very material and real difference. But you're absolutely right. He's not alone in this. This is a team effort.
And we need to be... And I think everyone, locally Republican, they know the guy who's oh my God, this guy was way above and beyond of what anyone would expect. And you know what's funny? Everyone thinks that these individuals are crazy religious cultists. They never are. You know who they are almost always? They are young, new right men. That's who's carrying this election. Every single one of these guys is a tech forward, fairly, on gay rights, for example. They're fucking whatever. Let's just stop molesting children and all this weird transport. Yeah, they are sane humans. It is no longer the base, the foot soldiers of the Republican Party is no longer, extremist Peter priesthood types. It is now your average sane, like, base camp watcher. That's who's carrying the elections for our party now.
It makes me feel good about the future of the United States.
It makes me feel good as well. And it does better at telling those individuals. And this is very different than the average person who's carrying it for the Democrats. These people actually are woke extremists. And I think that when we accept this, when we accept how extreme the Democrats have gone, how extreme the people leading their party have gone, and how non-extreme and mainstream and accepting the Republican Party is now, I think that we have a possibility of entering an era of one-party leadership in a way that could be good.
What would be the coolest is if essentially the Republican Party becomes one-party leadership, because the Republican Party now basically is both the old, like, sort of conservative values lifestyle party and also this super socially progressive, like, libertarian party. So I feel like what we're seeing is the new right could eventually just become everything and then split into factions, which then compete. And I'm all for that competition. I want there to be variety. But this does seem like, because it is so pluralistic and multifaceted, I could see the new right splitting into new factions eventually, but I'm okay with that. And it does represent a lot of good things. And I like the competition of tradition versus accelerationism. I like the competition of, sorry about baby noises, but yeah,
Well, no, and I also like, with Scott being like, oh, Muslims want me dead. Like, I love how much of the, like, LGBT movement, like, pretends not to notice that Muslims want them dead. Not all Muslims, mind you, but definitely a portion of them. And Sharia law is not something
to
that
be
they
fair,
should want.
Malcolm, they want themselves dead too. They're sterilizing themselves. They're threatening to end themselves. They're they're the anti-human party. They kind of want all humans dead. So if it's so hypocritical that they also want gay humans dead, no, because they want all future humans dead. They want to make themselves dead. They want to make everyone gone, undo, bad humans.
Well, I love you to death, Simone. This conversation has been illuminating, and I hope you had fun learning about the gay Republican who won this election for Trump.
I did, and I love you.
I love you too.
And I'm making for you for dinner fried rice plus the
chicken leftovers.
The chicken leftovers, yeah. Is that correct?
I wouldn't even make fried rice. You got a lot in the fridge that needs to be
No, I ate the leftover fried rice, and I'm having leftover manicotti. Does that sound good?
You're so perfect.
Waste not, want not. And Val, that was so nice of her to, like, drop by manicotti.
Hey, we live in the type of neighborhood where people drop off food for us. Yeah. Maybe you should drop off more eggs for the neighborhood. Just become the egg fairy.
Well, she's getting more eggs for that, for sure. I need to remind me, we need to leave a basket for her. But yeah.
I love you a great deal.
I told you about the college student that I saw at the polls on Tuesday.
No, tell me about this college student.
It was like, Republicans are the conservative ones, right? Like, that's the conservative party? Yes.
Is this the right? Am I on the right side?
Yeah, this is supposed to be. We were on the wrong side the last time. They will be mad, but I'm sorry.
This is what we get for having an autistic audience. I love that he's like, are Republicans the conservative ones?
Yeah, they were.
No, what you should have said is no, not really.
Well, no, but he wanted to vote conservative. But I mean, yeah, not really.
He was at college, the college kid?
Yeah, he was a college kid. And somehow he made it through this entire election cycle, not knowing which political party was the conservative one, which is impressive. And I kind of want to live in his world, because wherever that is, it's different.
Oh no, it's too late.
Is it too late? Is it gonna work?
Oh no,
They're not falling? Oh, but the car is moving, you guys. The car is moving.
He's done it! No!
Oh no, here comes the T-Rex, you guys. Oh no. Ah!
What are they doing?
Now this is why we don't wander off into the woods, right, Toasty? Because there's animals out there. Octavian, this is why you can't wander off, right?